typically your ability to score is what gets you in the game and what keeps you on the floor. But at the same time, you know, we have pretty good offensive players. And if you can't defend, especially, you know, against the really good teams, obviously Friday's one of them, but there's so many good teams on our schedule. If you can't defend, then you can't be out there, because you're creating so many problems for everybody else. You know, you can't be playing 4-on-5 because they're going to find the open guy and they're going to score. And so we got guys working right now. They're not always in the right place. They're not always positioned correctly, but they're battling, trying to figure it out.
How's their effort? I know you've talked before about there's a difference between playing hard and sometimes playing smart. Do you feel like, have they made strides in that area over the last few weeks?
I feel like they're trying to. You know, it's not like, you know, you're going to watch play the game, watch the film, make a couple corrections, and everything's going to be corrected. It doesn't work that way. They're a hungry young group that wants to do what they're supposed to do. They want to be coachable. They want to be good teammates. They want to be on a winning team. They're trying, but it takes time. I mean, if you only had one or two guys like this, you wouldn't think anything of it. Because a lot of times that's what you have, 2 or 3 freshmen, 2 or 3 sophomores, 2 or 3 juniors, you know, like that. And this just happens to be a unique bunch. But we have 8 newcomers. You know, 6 of them, you know, weren't here last year. You know, I remember, you know, when Pete was a freshman and he struggled. And he was really talented. And he's really a smart kid. He's a good athlete. And it really took him the better part of 3/4 of the season before he got it figured out. He was really playing well. If you remember, at the end of that year, he was a leading scorer in the Tennessee game in the NCAA tournament. If not, he was the second leading scorer. And that's just an example, because there's a guy who, same thing, he wanted to be good, he wanted to work, he wanted to listen, he was trying, it took him a little bit of time. It usually does. And, you know, you go back to, you know, when Marble was a freshman, he had to play. All those kids had to play. Marble, McCabe, Wasabi, Cartwright was new. We had to put it right in and live with whatever mistakes they made. Well, this group's got a substantial group of experienced players ahead of them. So it changes things. And I think in a lot of ways it puts pressure on them, because they all want to be that guy. They all want to be in that next group. And okay, what if I play all 5 of the starters 32 minutes? How many minutes are left? There's not many. So it's a complicated process for those guys to try to figure out, okay, how can I be that guy? And will I accept that role, knowing that there's more down the road when this group leaves? But for this year, you know, you got to be maybe a little different role than you were in high school or in junior college. And that's not easy sometimes. But, you know, if you have character and you're smart, you can see what this team needs and what we're lacking, and then fill in that accordingly.